I used to think teaching music online could never match being in the same room with a student. But after years of teaching drums, which is about as technically awkward as it gets online, I realized it can actually be better. When you structure it the right way, teaching online gives you more control, more flexibility in your schedule, and better ways to support students without burning out. In this video, I'll show you how to make online teaching more flexible, more engaging, better paid, and just a more enjoyable way to teach. When you think about teaching online, it's easy to focus on what's missing. You're not in the same room, you can't play together the same way, it feels a bit less personal, and sure, it's different, but different doesn't mean worse. Teaching online gives you options you might not have face-to-face. You can structure things better, you can support students in between the sessions, and actually help them progress faster. It's not about replacing the in-person experience, it's about using the online format for what it's good at. The problem isn't that online lessons don't work, it's that people keep running them exactly like they did in person, just over Zoom. And that's usually the point where things start breaking down. Because if you don't change how you run your lessons, you end up fighting the format instead of using it to your advantage. The biggest mistake teachers make when they move online is trying to teach the exact same way they did in person. They take the same weekly lesson, move it onto Zoom, and they think that it's enough, but it's not. That setup misses the whole point of what online teaching can actually do. You can't just move a lesson onto a screen and expect it to feel the same, technically or emotionally. When you try to run it like an in-person session, the tech kind of becomes the enemy, right? The audio lags, the mics distort, and the flow breaks every time someone adjusts their camera or whatever. If you've ever tried to jam live online, you know what I mean. It's chaos, right? The truth is, online only works when you stop treating it like a downgrade and start using it a little bit differently. That means thinking less about the hour and more about the experience your student is getting across the week. When you build that properly with structure, with clear practice goals, and with a bit of ongoing support, it stops being a compromise. It becomes a bit more like a coaching setup. And that starts with the most important part of all, which is what your student actually does when you're not on a call with them. The single most important part of any teaching, whether it's in person or online, is making sure your student knows exactly what they need to do when they practice. If they sit down and they think, all right, what was I meant to work on again? You've lost them, right? That's the biggest reason people lose motivation, right? Your students need a routine that matches the time that they actually have available to practice. If they've got 45 minutes a day, they should know exactly what they're doing in that window, right? Just 3 or 4 focused things, nothing more. It doesn't have to be crazy. The goal isn't to fill their time, it's to remove the guesswork, right? You want them to sit down, know what's first, what's next, and what done looks like. That's where your online session fits in. It's where you just deliver that plan. You're not just giving exercises, you're downloading the information straight from your brain into theirs, okay? And showing them what to work on, how to do it, and why it matters. That clarity makes the rest of the week feel easy. And it's the difference between a student who practices confidently and one who spends the whole week just spinning their wheels. So the session itself becomes about clarity, right? It's a bit more focused, efficient, and easy to follow instead of trying to replicate every part of an in-person lesson. When you're teaching online, the session itself is just the information delivery. That's all, right? It's where you make sure the student knows exactly what to do, how to do it, and why it matters. That's it. It doesn't need to be fancy or overloaded. You know, your goal is clarity. It's not cramming everything into an hour. This is where a lot of teachers run into problems, especially with instruments like drums, right? Trying to teach both sides live, like handling 2 kits and 2 mics and latency and all this stuff, it's chaos. You end up fighting the tech more than you actually teach. So instead, I like to keep the live session focused on just demonstration and direction, right? I'm showing them what to work on, explaining what to look out for, and make sure that they leave with a clear plan. You can obviously still play a little bit and get feedback, but the session shouldn't just be you watching them practice. In this kind of coaching approach, the live call is just one part of a slightly bigger picture, right? It's the information delivery, not the whole experience. You can even record these sessions, right, to build up a bit of a library of examples or sending short video demos to support the things that you're teaching. That's what I did when I taught drums online, and it helped avoid a lot of the tech headaches and gave students better reference material. Run it this way and the session just becomes a simple, efficient, and stress-free thing, right? You're not trying to recreate an in-person jam. You're just building a focused, actionable plan that makes the rest of the week easier. And to make sure that plan actually sticks, you need to stay in touch with the student between the sessions. And that's where the real engagement happens. If you want to build this kind of teaching approach for yourself, I break it down step by step inside Musician Freedom. It's a free community for musicians who are teaching online, and the link's down below. Check it out. So one of the biggest advantages of teaching online is that you don't have to disappear in between the lessons, right? You can check in midweek, you can answer quick questions and keep your students on track without it taking up too much of your time. This doesn't need to be complicated, right? It can be as simple as sending a short message in the middle of the week. Hey, how's the practice going? Do you have any questions, about that new exercise that we're working on? That tiny little bit of communication, it makes a really big difference. Students feel supported, right? And they feel a bit of accountability and connected as well. And you stop losing that momentum in between those sessions. It's one of those small things that keeps people engaged long term. Now, if you're teaching children, that connection has to happen through the parents, right? They're the ones making sure that practice actually happens. And if the parents aren't involved, it stops being learning and starts being babysitting. So they become your touch point. You check in with them, not necessarily the student, right? These little touch points build trust and make the coaching format feel personal. You're no longer just a teacher who shows up once a week. You're an active guide in their progress. And that connection gets even stronger when you start giving feedback on their practice, not just during lessons, but in between them. This is the part that really makes online teaching shine, which is the feedback, right? Get your students to send you short videos of their practice midweek, just quick clips on their phone so you can see how their practice is going. Then you give feedback right there. I use a tool called Loom to record myself watching their video, right? I give them a little tip, slow this down, your grip's kind of tightening up here, this looks great, keep it up, that sort of thing. It's fast, it's simple, it's personal. That small feedback loop changes everything. You can spot mistakes earlier on, right? Keep progress steady and help students feel more supported. They know you're paying attention, and that accountability makes them care more about their own practice. It also gets around a lot of the live technical issues, right? No latency, no mic setups, no chaos, just a quick video, right? Clean, focused feedback that'll fit into their week. And when you add that layer, the structured routine, the live sessions, the touch points, and the midweek feedback, you're no longer just teaching lessons, you're coaching their entire process. And that's why it works better and why you can charge a little bit more for it. But it's not just better for the students, it's better for you too. Once you start running things this way, you realize how much more flexible and sustainable it makes your own schedule. This kind of coaching setup isn't just better for students, it's better for you too. You're not selling time anymore. You're helping people reach results. And when you do that, you can charge fairly for what you do. No more teaching for $50 an hour, right? You're not just running a lesson. You're guiding someone's process week to week, keeping them accountable and actually helping them improve faster. And that's worth more. And students understand that when they experience it. It's also just way more flexible, right? You can check in, record feedback, or reply to a student wherever you are in the world, right? I've done this while traveling, while on tour, in hotel rooms. I'm still coaching, I'm still supporting students without being tied to one schedule or place. And the result is you build a way of teaching that actually fits around your life. You teach fewer people, you give them more value and you earn more while doing it. So it's more sustainable, it's more personal, and just way more enjoyable. Now that you've seen how this coaching style format works online, the next step is learning how to keep those students around long term. Check out this video here where I talk about how to keep your students engaged for the long run so they get great results and they keep paying you for it.